every single one of our major customers and minor customers all shut their doors overnight.
You need the right people in the right place at the right time. And sometimes you have the right people in the right place, but at the wrong time.
I've got to keep going forward. I've got to keep looking for revenue streams. I've got to keep looking for growth, keep looking at new ways of doing things.
But, you know, what's the culture like at the business? What do we stand for, the values?
I've got to tick that box on my personal development program I don't really want to be here.
Scaling up a business isn't easy. If it were, we wouldn't have less than 4% of businesses scaling beyond 10 employees or around £1 million turnover level, and less than 1% beyond 50 employees. But the contribution that we make as owner-managers to our economies is immense and should never be underestimated, yet it can be a tough gig for all of us at times, and only other business owners truly understand the challenges that we face. And through ScaleUp Radio, we aim to help make things a little easier. We interview guests who have been where you are now and may have faced some of the challenges that you are facing. And they offer their thoughts and advice on what has worked for them, as well as what didn't. And we've also combined many of the lessons from these interviews and also through working with hundreds of owner-managers over the last 10 years or so into a practical scale-up handbook that we've called the Entrepreneurial Scale-Up System, or ESUS. And it's for owner-managers like you and me as we navigate our own scale-up journey. And you can order a copy through your favourite online book retailer or by going to all the W's, esusgroup.co.uk, www.esusgroup.co.uk.
Hello, I'm Granger Forson, and on this week's episode of ScaleUp Radio, I speak with Toni Griffiths, the owner of the Good Surveyor. The Good Surveyor is a surveying and valuing company that is based in Gloucester. They started only a few years ago, but they're already grown into a tight little team with more growth in the pipeline. It is so interesting to hear Toni's story about how she came to the business and what the beginning was like during a global pandemic. As always, we cover a lot of ground, including it's not enough to say your customer focus. You've got to constantly display that quality, as well as ensuring that your team feel the same way too. Why? You don't need to know everything when speaking to a client. It's okay to admit that something is outside your sphere of knowledge. And if you're going to market your company, engage with it. Don't just post on social media and leave it. Reply and chat and engage with those people who've engaged with your posts. What is so illuminating about this conversation with Toni is how she treats her team just like they are members of her family, and how she's using her prior business ownership experience to constantly focus on making the Good Surveyor as the best it can be. I know you'll get something out of this episode. Let's go and listen to Toni. Welcome, Toni Griffiths from the Good Surveyor. Please introduce yourself and your company to everybody.
Morning, Granger. Lovely to be having a chat with you today. So I'm Toni, and I own and run the Good Surveyor. We are a surveying and valuing company that cover quite a broad area, but are based in Gloucester. So we do pre-purchase surveys and valuations for people that are moving house. Our valuations are for Help to Buy and people that are in shared ownership houses that want to buy or sell shared ownership shares. And the surveys are predominantly for people that are moving house and want to have a health check on the property before they move in. We cover from down around Bridgewater on the M5 all the way up to Worcester, across into Monmouthshire and over to the Cotswolds. So we've got quite a broad reach with the team and their positions. And that's about it.
Ah, excellent. So quite a wide area. So how big is your business? Tell me about it.
So we started just coming up to 2.5 years ago. And I've currently got 2 additional surveyors to myself. I've got an assistant who is a part qualified surveyor, and then I've got an admin team.
And how big's your admin team?
I've got a lady called Jess who does a majority of the admin and PA work for me, and then I've got another lady called Karen.
And are they full-time, all these employees?
No, a bit of a mix, really. So I've got Rebecca, who is my assistant, is part-time. She's got childcare as well. And then I've got 2 full-time surveyors and me. Jess is full-time and Karen is sort of ad hoc. So Karen fills in and makes sure that the ship doesn't sink if we get lots of work in. And then I've got sort of a wider team of people that I pull on with regards to marketing, accountancy, IT, etc., that are all contractors that work as and when, and are training, 2 people that help us with training and mentoring as well. But again, they're ad hoc.
So you started 2.5 years ago, the Good Surveyor. So take us a bit of your journey before that, and what made you start a surveying company?
So before that, I was a consultant in renewable energy, and I've been in renewable energy for a number of years, about 12 years. And I was coming up to my 40th birthday, and I had a little bit of a meltdown, midlife crisis, and decided that I wanted to do something different and I wanted to do something for me. So I had a long, hard think about what made me tick and what I loved and what I enjoyed. And I've always been involved in property. I'm a landlady as well of rental properties. And I decided that I wanted to work within property. And so I looked at the options and I retrained at 40.
Wow, that's excellent. And why surveying then?
Initially I thought that it would help me with buying my own houses for my own portfolio. It was almost selfish initially. I thought that I would learn. I'm also a qualified mortgage advisor, and I've done things along the way that have sort of helped me on my journey of being a landlady. So I thought that it had helped me with purchasing houses, and then I kind of got the bug, and my 2 surveyors I trained with, and I just sort of wanted to create a company with these amazing people. And so it kind of grew legs during training and ended up being a company.
So as you're going through your training, you've now created a company, and with the 2 people that you were doing your training with,
So my 2 surveyors that are with me now, I went through training with both of those people, yeah.
Wow. So take that. What intrigued you? What was the let's turn this into a business? Because that's quite a step from
Yeah. I've run businesses before, so I wasn't particularly scared of that. But I was having quite a nice life and not working very hard before I retrained, and then so. I really don't know what came over me particularly, because now I work really hard. I wasn't working quite this hard before. So I think it was just, I got a passion for it when I was training, and I realized that there was a real gap in the market to just do it differently. And there's one thing that everybody that knows me knows, and that's that I like to do things differently. I like to do things the way that I want to be treated as a client. And so I decided that I wanted to do surveying my way. And I happened to be in a room at the time with people that quite liked my way and thought it was a really good idea, and thought like me and wanted to deliver something with a much better customer experience, and something that was or felt special, I suppose. We wanted to make the people, our clients, really feel like they were the centre of our world, and all of our attention was on them. And that's exactly what we've created. And I guess testament to that is our reviews that we have. It's always something that shines through, is that passion and the fact that we are extremely customer focused.
So a lot of businesses will say that they're customer focused, and I can see just in terms of being your intonation and your excitement and your voice and the way you were talking about it. So what makes you different then? Why do you claim to that and you get those good reviews?
So I think that everybody that's in the team is very much a customer focused person. So we are all, deeply caring and, very much want our clients to have the best experience ever. And that's something that we actually enjoy and are passionate about rather than have to do because it's our job. And I think that's one big difference, is the fact that we actually get up every morning and that's what we want to do rather than that's what we have to do. And then sort of the mantra that I have with the staff is that every client that we have, you must treat them as if they're a member of your own family. So whenever we go out to do a survey for somebody, we're always thinking that that person is our sister or our mother or our dad or whoever we want to, think of them as. And from that, I think that it helps us come from a different place. We come from a position of care and consideration about their needs. And, hypothetically, if they're an older person, what about mobility? What about the steps in front of the house? What about when it's snowing? What about getting food into the house? What about a young family and a pram? And you just think of them differently because you're treating them as if they're your family rather than treating it as a job. And that's one thing that, I'm really proud that we all behave like that. That's just natural to all of us to do it. Then we also spend a lot of time on the phone with our clients. So we get to know them really well. And then when we have finished the survey, we phone them and we report to them verbally, because these surveys that we produce, they're really, really, really long. And there's a lot of words in them. And they're really complicated. When you're trying to talk about every single wall in a house in one section, it's very difficult sometimes for people to understand it. But when you can speak to them, when they then get that report, the report comes alive and it's far more connected for them when they read it. So we do spend a lot of time on that. Some people need a lot more help than others. Some of our clients are serial house buyers, some of them are builders, but then equally we have people that have never bought a house before and don't know anything, and it's about tailoring it for them. Also, another thing that I hate is if my staff don't know what something's called, I tell them it doesn't matter because our clients don't know what it's called either. So the best thing to do is describe it. I hate technical words. So we don't use a lot of technical words. We use a lot of descriptive words, which I think, again, is where we're very different. I'm not scared for us to not look, I don't know how you perceive it, but it's not about us. It's about the client. So we don't need to look good. The client needs to understand the job. So if somebody reads it and thinks, God, do they not know the word for that? I don't care. What I care about is the fact that we've described it and they understand exactly what we mean. I have been guilty of calling things bunny ears on a house before and many different things, but everybody knows what I mean. So who cares?
Yes, the bunny ears on the house. Yes, yeah, brilliant. Yeah, an interesting description for something. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as somebody knows what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. So I'm really interested then. So you were doing your training and you saw a gap in the marketplace in terms of, because of you picked up a passion for it. But so what is the marketplace like for surveying? Why was that gap there, do you think, in terms of your opportunity?
I think that the market had become quite staid. There's a lot of older people in surveying. There's a lot of people that have always done it the way that they've done it. And that has changed a lot over the years. And there are a lot of people that haven't changed with it. So new blood coming in, new passion coming in. There was just that opportunity to just love people a little bit more. I'm not a greedy person and I never have been in business. So we don't go out to do quantity every week. We could probably do double what we do and we could double our turnover, but we wouldn't get the reviews and we wouldn't put the quality into the reports. And a lot of people are chasing that, and I understand that, and I get that, and I don't think that that's necessarily the wrong way to be. But I took a different tack with the business, which was that I wanted us to be about quality and not quantity. And in the market, that doesn't necessarily mean that we can charge a lot more, but I still wanted it to be about quality. I wanted us to be known for being good and for being good value and for providing an exceptional service. The market is becoming more and more congested on, you know, a daily basis with surveyors coming out of training. So it's a hard market to be in, especially, you know, coming up to Christmas and with COVID and lots of other things that have gone on with the housing market. But for me, you know, it's all about quality and word of mouth, and that's where we've carved our little, you know, little bit of heaven there is in providing that service. And just, as I say, just not being, we're a bit more fun, we're a bit more real, some would possibly say we're a bit less professional. I think it's just that people feel that we're real and that we're not scared to merge the lines a little bit, to explain things and to help them make decisions and to be real and to be honest. Yeah. And I think that in surveying in particular, people are a little bit scared of being honest sometimes. It's a lot of, can I say, because we're doing a business thing, it's about covering your bottom sometimes. And, you know, there's a lot of implications legally and with insurance and things like that. So we, you know, I think we just try and have made that a little bit more friendly and a little bit more fluffy around the lines. I don't know how to describe it. It's difficult.
No, you're describing it really, really well in terms of that, because that's, you know, anything like that where there are implications long term, isn't there, in terms of the reports that you've created and the feedback you've given.
15 years we're on the hook for.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's scary, but I didn't want to create a business where I felt that we were protecting ourselves rather than doing our job. I wanted to do our job, and sometimes that means that we're not protecting ourselves, but it was a bit of a shift, to a bit bold, to go and do it a bit differently, I guess.
Yes, yeah, and you can definitely see that in terms of then you've still got the same risks as everybody else, but you're approaching it in a different manner in terms of your approaches around, you know, customer focus, giving them what they really need from the survey, as well as the elements that you need for, you know, to prove that everything is correct. And you've built that in a very nice way in terms of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately for me, they're coming to us for a professional opinion, and they're coming to us to help them make a decision. Yeah. And some surveyors won't help them make a decision. You know, they want to back off from that kind of process. And but we're, you know, I stand by the fact that that's what our clients want us to do. They want us to make decisions, and they want us to carry that burden for them. So we do.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's really, really interesting. So 2.5 years in. Okay. You know, you must have started at day one. Did you start with all three of you day one, or was it just yourself?
No, I started with me on day one. Okay. Mainly because like how you qualify and everything. I qualified first. So I started with me on day one. And then Andy has been with me a year, just over. So actually a year and 3 months. And he started with me the day he qualified. And Mike went and worked for mortgage valuation company and sort of like cut his cloth there, I suppose, and then came over when he fancied a change. You know, I'd always told him that the door was open and that he could always come and work for us. And so he came over when he was ready. And and that was, Mike's been with us 6 months now. So, yeah.
And you've got your two admin people, the ladies, in terms of what you do. So How did you find them? How did they come into business? So far, people have come because they gradually like your model and what you do. How did you find them?
Oh, Granger, if anybody ever listens to this, that knows me, they'll know that I collect people. So I am known as the people collector. So I collect people that are the right fit for the business, but that have normally got things in their life that mean that they can't necessarily conform to a standard working environment. So yes, I collect people. So Andy and Mike I trained with. Rebecca was a client. So Rebecca was a client, and when I was feeding back to her husband kept saying that Bex had noticed that, Bex had noticed this, Bex had noticed that. And I said, does Bex want to be a surveyor? And so Bex came to work for me as my assistant, and she's partway through her training, so I put her through her training. So that's how I collected Beck. Karen has worked for me on and off for about 7 years. So she's worked with me in previous businesses and is always like my go-to wing woman. So we're very good friends. We've been working together for a while. Jess lives very close to me, like remarkably close to me. And she saw on Facebook that we were doing well and that I was potentially looking for staff. And she approached me and said that she'd like to work for me because of my, the way that we run the business. And she wanted to work for a really customer-centric company. So that's how I collected Jess. And I've got 2 trainees that are working with us at the moment as well. And yes, I kind of just collected them as well. So I'm known as the people collector. But people just come into your life and you just think, you can't train personality. People are either the right fit or they're not. And I believe in bringing those people into the business, and then we'll make them fit, as in, with work, we will make the work fit around them. But you can't train somebody to be the right type of person when they pick up the phone.
Yeah, and I think the key thing there we always talk about is the values that you bring to your business, first of all, and create, and then the values that then evolve as you bring more people on board. And if you have people that don't fit those values, then actually they're the wrong fit in your organization. So you're very clever at finding those people that fit your values and the business values and bringing them on board. So yeah, that's brilliant. That's something we always talk about. You don't often find. So well done. That's really good. I love that. Yeah, no,
it is good. It is good. We're a family, and I really believe that. We really are a family. They are. I refer to them all as my kids, but it is my family, and I love them. I really do genuinely. I love them to bits, and I support them, and I've got their back, and I couldn't wish to work with a better group of people. I absolutely adore them all, and I'm really lucky.
You've talked about, you wanted an easy life, and now you've got a really hectic life and busy life in terms of everything. Do you get overwhelmed now and then? If you do, how do you overcome it?
Oh, do I get overwhelmed? Yes. I'm not really a stressy person, but sometimes I do get emotionally overwhelmed when there's a lot going on, and it does sometimes feel a bit too much. And you just need, again, I am exceptionally lucky. I'm a really different kind of boss lady. So I actually will say to the staff, I will say, look, I'm having a really rough time at the moment. I have a very open and honest relationship with everybody, and we all support each other and help each other. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed and I've got too much on, I know that somebody else will step up and help me with it. So depending on what it is, will depend on who steps up, but everybody at some point in the company has done that to support me, because I have taken on a lot. I'm still fee earning as well, so not only am I still trying to be a surveyor on a daily basis, but I've also got the company to run, and our payroll now is, you know, over £100,000 a year. So I think it's 120,000 at the moment. So, you know, there's a lot going on there. I've got a lot of responsibilities. So it's really nice that we all feel that, again, coming back to that family value, we have a very flat management structure. I don't consider myself to be, you know, the boss. We're all in a team and we're all working together to achieve a common goal. So when I feel overwhelmed, it's just a matter of picking up the phone and saying, I feel overwhelmed, I need some help. And I normally get it. Also, gin helps.
Yes. So
the secret to success of a small business is gin.
Okay. So apart from that, yeah, you talk about this great flat structure and this family orientated. How do you sort of organize yourselves to you know, make the business successful? You know, how do you ensure you're doing the right things?
So a lot of what I've invested in has been in IT. So from the very beginning of the business, I knew that I was going to grow. I have always had the attitude, go big or go home. So it was never an option for me to stay doing it on my own. So I started very, very, very early on, and I am very lucky in the people that I know in my life. I started very early on with building systems. So we have a very slick system from start to finish, which pretty much does, well, Jess sort of controls it, but it pretty much does everything. So from a quote coming in all the way through to creating files, going in their diary, giving them all the information that they need, where forms are, all of the processes. We run on a cloud-based system, which we've bespoke designed. So everything is organized that way. I also, and again, I'm very lucky. I have people that self-manage. They know what their job is. They know what they have to do. And it is sleep, wash, repeat almost, you know, I mean, it is the same job every week. So they know that they're going to look in their diary, they're going to have 3 to 4 appointments, and they know exactly what to do with those appointments. And so the moving parts of just, I suppose we've just developed processes around them. So where we see that there's a potential problem, you know, up until recently, I was still running a manual diary as an example. I was a bit of a control freak over the diary. I really liked to make sure that I knew where everybody was and that there was no gaps. And you know, also because everybody has unique times that they want to work, and I accommodate all of that. So that was probably the most recent thing that we bought online. So that was a real massive thing for me to let go of that manual diary. But I am actually quite a confident delegator, and that fell in line with Jess starting. So I basically just gave complete control of the diary to Jess, and we programmed it into our system. So now she just clicks a button and it automatically populates, and she manages it online. But yeah, that was one of the sort of like final things that we had to move over and nail. It was taking up a lot of my time, a lot. But everything else we've just turned it into processes. We also have a WhatsApp group, so if anybody's stuck on anything, they can come into our little WhatsApp group and we all help address issues, or and I've got a trainer that's in there as well that can answer any questions and just interacts with them. And people just know if they're stuck, they just pick up the phone. To be honest, Granger, it's just an open door policy. I don't ever sleep. I'm like a vampire.
A gin drinking vampire.
Definitely a gin drinking vampire for sure. Better than the smell of garlic.
So you've explained the business and then the structure of it. How do you know, as the business owner, how do you manage cash and ensure that, you know, you talked about the payroll? Yeah, you know, what are your hints and tips? What's worked for you?
we bank with Lloyds. Lloyds have a very good accountancy package that you can use, business finance assistant. It's cheap. Jess looks after that. The biggest thing that I can say about finances is that if you want to grow a business, you do have to have finance in place sitting behind you. You have to, you have to go into it with your eyes open. There's a massive responsibility with taking on staff. My staff know and trust me that I have made provision for that, because you never know what's around the corner. So I suppose my one big tip is that you need to have a lot of contingency. So every month, a percentage of my turnover automatically goes into a selection of contingency funds. One is for tax, one is for VAT. So when those bills come, they're not huge. One is for business interruption, which is for, claims and immediate training issues, things that might come up that might impact on cash flow. And I also then just have another contingency fund just in case. So I would say that making sure that you don't spend all of the money that comes in through the door is actually really important, but I appreciate not everybody is in that position. Also, just being prepared that everybody is more important than you when you grow. I mean, I'm the last person that gets paid. And I think that people don't necessarily think about that. You have a responsibility to people and their families. And so that's really important. My accountant is very good. We do a lot of forecasting at the beginning of the year, just to look at what we need to be bringing in. And we always eclipse it, which is great. Again, I'm very transparent with the team. I talk to them. If we haven't got enough appointments, I talk to them. I tell them that we need more appointments. They need to go out. They need to generate work. They need to do this. They need to do that. So again, a lot of it comes down to communication. But I think, the big thing for me is not spending all of your money. Yeah. That to me is massive. And as I say, not everybody's in that privileged position to be able to do that. But if you can't do it all the time, you need to do it whenever you can. You need to put money aside. Also, that for a small business is extremely difficult and complicated. I have to, when I'm pricing, I'm often more expensive than everybody else, because there are lots of people around here that are sole traders that do our job and they're not VAT registered, and VAT has a massive impact on our invoicing. And sometimes it's easy to see all of that money coming in through the books. You see all of these, huge, great big lumps of money dropping in, and you forget how much of that is VAT. I mean, I know it's like 20%. It's a lot of money when you say, I've just had £480 and £80 of it is VAT. It really, I think that I kind of think about that a lot when I'm thinking about the money, because we don't actually buy a lot. So when we pay our VAT, we are literally paying out thousands and thousands of pounds, because we don't have anything to offset it with. So you can really get a false opinion when you're looking at your bank account of what's actually in there if you're VAT registered. Hence why I have the contingency fund for it, so it goes out of the way a lot. Yes. But yeah, that's try not to go VAT registered. But unfortunately, if you want to grow, you've got to go VAT registered, but it does bugger you up a little bit.
Absolutely. And I use exactly the same process. I practice what I preach in terms of, the entrepreneurial scale-up system. And we talk about that exactly in terms of doing that. We sort of talk about a profit-first approach from Mike McCallowitz, and that is about putting your money aside into small bank accounts. Yeah, you can do that all in one account these days. But it's putting that money aside exactly as you say, and it's not touched. Yeah, for that very, very reason. But I do like your business interruption and just in case. So I'm going to go back and look at one of my accounts and build a just in case one. So I have a charity account because that's important. That's part of the values of my business is supporting charities. So I'm going to have a look at for next year a just in case account. So
yeah, we do a lot of charity stuff as well, and I think it's really important to be part of the community in that way. But yes, Granger, I think that's your homework. You need to have another account, which is the just in case account.
Awesome. So let's talk about how you find customers. So what's your best marketing tricks or whatever? What works really for you?
You have to understand your customer. So you have to think about who is your typical customer, and it is the 80-20 rule. So you don't want to think about all of these little offshoots of people that might be an ideal customer. What is your core customer? Who are they? What do they look like? And you have to build your marketing strategy and how you get business around that. So we know that a lot of our clients are quite first-time buyers and are quite young. So we have quite a big presence on Facebook. The thing that I would say about marketing is that if you're not going to actually engage with it, don't do it, because it makes you look worse. So if you're going to have a Facebook profile and you are going to do that, then I really believe that you have to work that Facebook profile. You can't leave it there for a month and not touch it. So we have quite an active Facebook profile, and that definitely does generate business. We get a lot of referrals where people are asking in groups for, do you know a good surveyor? Do you know a good valuer? And we are recommended in those groups. And that's worked very well for us to get us profile. We actively encourage our clients when we send them the reports to leave us reviews. And those reviews are on Facebook and Google. And that's been very important to allow people to see other people's opinions of us. That's been really important to encourage that. And I think that people don't ask for it enough. It's the cheapest and easiest way of getting business is to ask other people to help you achieve that. And on that note, last year, everybody that wrote a testimonial for us at Christmas, we donated. So instead of buying a bottle of wine or anything like that, we put in £5 worth of food bank food for every testimonial that we'd had. So we encourage people to do it by giving to charity. Then another really big thing for me is Google. I don't think enough people use Google Business, and it's free. So, hello, why isn't everybody using it? So a lot of our business comes from those two things, people searching on Google and finding us because we put effort into our Google presence. That isn't a paid for thing, that's a doing thing. I think people are scared by all of this marketing stuff as if it's going to cost a lot of money, and it doesn't. It takes a lot of effort, but it doesn't cost a lot of money. We also are lucky in our industry to be able to use comparison sites, so we can buy leads. So that is useful. Not every industry has that, but we do. Some months that costs me a fortune, some months it doesn't. It's a bit of, some months you get loads through, another month you don't. Sometimes I switch it off because I've got too much business. But that feed is available to us as an industry. Website presence. I think it's really important to have a good website. I don't think necessarily that you need to spend a fortune on it, and I don't think that it generates work for me. But what it does do is it gives people comfort that we're real. So it's a reinforcement marketing aid for us. We also network, not just in the way that we met, but we know that our customers are going into estate agents, they're buying houses, they're going to get a mortgage, they're talking to insurance brokers. So again, identifying that core customer and seeing where their touch points are and networking with those touch points has been important. We have leaflets and we leaflet drop sometimes. We do things like this. I've been in Cotswold Life. And again, my tip would be, don't think that you don't have to work at it, because you really do have to work hard to make marketing work for you, especially if you want it for free.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. Yeah, that's really good. Excellent. So if we were, say, meeting in 5 years' time, okay, when we're going to now look back over the last 5 years rather than the last 2.5, what's happened, do you think? What do you want to have happened both professionally and personally to say those last 5 years were a success?
So my 5-year plan, if you see me in 5 years, you'll be sitting in my apartment in Italy with me because I won't be here.
I'll be there.
Yeah, it's a good catch up to put in the diary, isn't it? So my intention has always been to retire at 50, which I'm 45. I'll be 46 next year. I have started the business with a succession plan already sort of put together, and the people that are in that succession plan know what their roles are and what the goal is. So I want to grow the business to 10 surveyors in the next 5 years. And then I want to not exit the business. I want to still be part of the business, but I want to be not here and leave it for other people to run. And that's what we're working towards. So we'll definitely know if we've achieved it, because it's very much documented in how it's going to happen. And again, I really am a subscriber to goals and goal setting. Goals can move, and people think that they're rigid and that they shouldn't set them, or that, you know, they shouldn't set them too high and everything else. But you really should. You have to know what you're working towards, and it can change and it can move. And maybe it won't be 5 years, maybe it'll be 7, maybe I won't want to leave, maybe I'll go early. But you've still got to have those goals in place and know what you're trying to achieve. So for me, it's important because of people collecting. Going back to my HR strategy, I need to know where I want to be, so I know which peoples and where they need to be, so I can collect them as I go, as I find them. I'm a little womble, actually. So the business will be successful. We'll have continued getting our positive reviews. We will be doing what we do now because that's what we do best, and I don't want to dilute. I want to be brilliant at what we do. I don't want to be great at something. I want to stick to the knitting. I'll be sipping Italian red wine and eating cheese on a balcony somewhere. And and the company will be running itself perfectly fine without me. I think it's nice to build a company where you're designing yourself out of it all the time. It actually helps you on a daily basis, because it's really awkward when everything's about you. And that was one thing about the diary. Whenever I went on holiday, nobody had a clue how to run that diary. And I came back to a mess every single time. So I had to design myself out of that job. And you should be constantly designing yourself out of jobs. So success to me will be that I can bugger off at any time and nothing changes in the business.
Brilliant. Well, Toni, it's been a fantastic conversation. I've really enjoyed it in terms of that, how you went from, did some training, found a passion for something that was really exciting for you. You turned that into a business because you could see a gap in the marketplace, how you've really sort of thought about the value of quality and getting that right for your customers, and how that's helped you grow and develop the business. I love your collecting the right people, your people collect. I thought it was a fantastic phrase in terms of finding the right people that fit your values and fit what you want to do with the business. You've got a clear direction of where you want to go, what you do. And I love the designing yourself out of the business attitude in everything you're doing. But, you're very humble in terms of, some of the difficulties and the stresses and the hard times, etc., that comes along. It's been fantastic to hear all that. And there's some amazing takeaways for everybody listening to this interview. So we always finish off with a sort of a quick fire round, okay, in terms of bits and pieces. Okay, so
a buzzer, Granger. I need a buzzer.
So okay, here we go. If you would go back to the younger you, what advice would you give yourself?
Don't get married.
Okay. What books would you recommend?
Da Vinci and the 40 Answers. I think that's what it's called. It's a really good book, but without running to my office, I can't remember, but I think that's what it's called.
Which podcast do you recommend?
Yours.
Thank you very much. Have you used coaches in your past, business coaches or anything?
Throughout my surveying career, I've used surveying mentors, so similar. I've never used a business coach, so it's been more industry. Yeah.
Brilliant. So we all have apps on our mobile phones. What's your most important apps on your mobile phone?
I'm laughing because I think everybody would tell you that the dating apps are the most important apps on my phone at the moment. I'm not an app girl. My inclometer or whatever it's called that measures angles of roofs, that's probably the most important app on my phone. Go on.
Okay. Who has had the most influence on you as a business leader?
Gosh. Joe, I really would need to come back to you on that. I've always really liked Innocent Smoothies. I've read a lot of their books, but nobody in particular. It's just always been what I wanted to do and the way I wanted to be. I don't think I've followed or particularly tried to be anybody else, but I did like Innocent Smoothies and the way that they did things. It's a very good book, very easy to read.
So we talked about marketing, but which one is your most successful marketing tactic?
Asking for testimonials and asking for business. You know, I think that is the best thing to do. If you've done a good job, get people to tell other people that you've done a good job.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. How can people get hold of you?
Don't phone me, phone Jess. No, you can get hold of me on email. So I am Toni, Toni, at thegoodsurveyor.co.uk. You can go onto our website and you can find all of our office telephone numbers there. So depending on where you are listening to this podcast, you may want to phone the Gloucester office or the Bristol office or the Forest of Dean. All of the numbers are there on thegoodsurveyor.co.uk. And you can also find us on Facebook. Come and follow us. We post some very interesting things on there about houses and defects and things like that even people that aren't moving might find interesting about maintenance of their own property. So yes, come and find us.
Brilliant. Well, Toni, thank you very much for your time today and thank you for this fantastic conversation.
Thank you, Granger.
Don't forget to take a look at www.bizsmarts.co.uk to access a great range of resources to help you in your scale-up journey. So that's bizsmarts.co.uk, which is bizsmarts.co.uk.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.